Have you ever wondered if the body is speaking to you in a language you have not yet learned to understand? Every pulse of discomfort, every strange twinge, every sensation that seems to come out of nowhere might not be random at all. Imagine that your skin, muscles, and bones are not just flesh and structure but symbols, messages coded in a dialect older than words. Most people never pause long enough to ask what these sensations are trying to say. They rush for remedies, they mask symptoms, they dismiss signals as mere malfunctions. But what if nothing in you happens by accident? What if your body is a storyteller, weaving the hidden narratives of your inner life into aches and tensions that beg for attention? When you think of the mind, you picture thoughts and emotions. When you think of the body, you imagine movement and survival. But what if there is no true separation, only one vast field of consciousness manifesting in different ways? When grief is ignored, it does not vanish into thin air. When anger is silenced, it does not dissolve into nothingness. These emotions are energies, and energy must go somewhere. Often it burrows down beneath awareness, where it reshapes itself into the physical world of sensation and symptom. What you do not acknowledge consciously insists on being felt another way. Some call this fate. Some call it karma. Perhaps it is simply your deeper self insisting that you listen. Consider the way headaches arrive. They rarely descend during moments of calm or peace. They come when life is frantic, when your mind spins like a wheel refusing to stop, when your responsibilities outpace your ability to hold them. A throbbing in the skull is not only biology, it is a sign that your thoughts have become heavier than your body can bear. The message is not to consume another tablet and push forward. The message is to step back, to slow the storm, to breathe. Your body whispers what your voice will not say. I cannot keep carrying this pace without rest. Notice too what happens in the neck and shoulders. They do not simply hold up your head. They carry invisible weight, the weight of expectations and obligations. Think about the times you felt trapped in a situation, powerless to change direction, rigid in your beliefs. That is when the neck tightens, when turning becomes painful. The shoulders, broad as they may be, grow sore from carrying more than belongs to them. How many of us take on burdens that are not ours, playing the strong one, the reliable one, the silent bearer of other people's struggles? The body records this choice. The fibers of the shoulders harden, the muscles knot, and the message appears. You are not meant to hold the whole world alone. Real strength is not endless endurance. Real strength knows when to put the burden down, when to share the load, when to trust that asking for help is not weakness, but wisdom. The chest is a sacred chamber, not only of lungs and heart, but of sorrow and memory. The tightness you sometimes feel pressing against your ribs is often not illness, but emotion unspoken. Have you ever lost something or someone and felt as if you could not breathe? That suffocating heaviness is grief refusing to be expressed. The body holds it when the mind refuses to release it. Every sigh is an attempt to let a little of it go, an unconscious exhalation of sadness that words have not yet carried. To breathe shallowly is to live in hesitation. To breathe fully is to accept life and all its pains as well as its joys. The chest reminds you that what is suppressed will always seek release. Tears not shed become tension in the lungs. Mourning denied becomes weight pressing down on the heart. Healing begins the moment you allow the breath to deepen and let the grief move through you rather than lodge within you. The stomach tells another kind of story, one woven from worry and unease. People call it a gut feeling when intuition stirs, but few respect its voice. When anxiety builds, when thoughts spin in circles, when trust in your own instincts is silenced, the gut becomes the stage of the conflict. Nausea, cramps, indigestion, all of them are not just chemical misfires, but symbols of thoughts you cannot digest. The body speaks in metaphors clearer than language itself. To chew on fear without release is to disturb the stomach. To swallow resentment without speaking is to churn the intestines. Even the healthiest diet cannot calm a belly filled with the storm of suppressed tension. To honor the stomach is to honor instinct, to trust the inner compass rather than smother it beneath layers of doubt. The lower back carries a more ancient burden, tied to survival and stability. It often aches most in times of financial strain, uncertainty, or fear that the ground beneath you will not hold. Security is not only about money, it is about trust in life, in your own foundation, in the sense that you are supported by something greater than yourself. When that trust falters, the back bends under invisible weight. Language reveals this truth in phrases like carrying the world on your back or bending under responsibility. Chronic pain here is a call to remember that you are not meant to drag every burden forever. It is an invitation to ground yourself, to root again into stability that does not depend solely on circumstance, but on inner alignment. The legs tell their own tale, for they are the pillars that carry you forward. When life feels uncertain, when choices loom like vast, unknown landscapes, it is often the legs that falter. Knees ache, feet grow heavy, steps slow as if weighted by invisible chains. These are not only the marks of age or fatigue, they are symbols of hesitation, the fear of moving ahead into what you cannot yet see. The foundation of the body mirrors the foundation of your life. If you resist change, if you cling to the familiar even when it no longer serves you, the body answers by resisting movement itself. Weakness in the legs is the language of stagnation, urging you to release fear and trust the path. Progress is never made by force, but by willingness, and the body reminds you when your will resists the flow of your own becoming. The skin, your most visible boundary, tells stories of its own. It is the frontier where your inner world meets the gaze of others. Breakouts, rashes, irritations often bloom during times when self-image is fragile, when shame lingers, when exposure feels unbearable. The skin mirrors your vulnerability. When you feel raw inside, the skin often becomes raw outside. When you struggle with how others perceive you, your outer layer becomes the canvas of that struggle. It reddens, it swells, it cries out that the boundary between self and world is unsettled. To heal the skin is to heal how you see yourself, to accept rather than resist your own reflection. Your body shows you, again and again, that what is hidden within cannot remain hidden forever. Every system, every organ, every sensation participates in this language. Pain is not cruelty. Pain is communication. Illness is not betrayal. Illness is a signal. The body is the most faithful companion you will ever have. While the mind may deny, while the voice may remain silent, the body continues to speak, to whisper, to call you back to balance. Have you noticed how after great shocks some people fall ill, as though their body could no longer contain the storm of unprocessed emotion? What could not be faced consciously spills into flesh and bone. This is not weakness but honesty, the shadow of the self insisting on being seen. What you bury does not die, it waits. And when it can wait no longer, it emerges in the language of the body. Think of children. They cry when sorrow hits them. They scream when anger burns through them. They collapse when exhaustion takes over. Their bodies are pure expression of emotion. There is no separation, no filter. But as we grow older, we learn to suppress, to mask, to endure in silence. We swallow tears, we restrain anger, we deny fatigue. Yet energy is never destroyed. The more you repress, the more the body must carry the message in your place. That is why fatigue lingers, why illness follows shock, why pain arises without clear reason. The body becomes the scribe of your unspoken truths, writing them into tension, discomfort, and sickness. Yet here lies the paradox. The moment you turn toward the message instead of away, transformation begins. A headache can be more than torment. It can be a call to rest, a reminder to quiet the restless mind. Neck pain can be more than stiffness. It can be a demand to release control, to stop resisting what life has already asked you to surrender. The heaviness in the chest can be more than discomfort. It can be a cry to grieve, to let tears fall, to free the heart from unexpressed mourning. Every symptom is twofold, a problem and an opportunity. The problem is the ache itself. The opportunity is the hidden truth beneath it. Ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you sat in stillness with your pain? Not to fight it, not to silence it, but to listen. When was the last time you asked your body, "What is it you want me to know?" For most people, the answer is never. We fear the truth that might rise, because truth often demands change. To listen means you may have to rest when you are determined to keep going. To listen means you may have to grieve when you have sworn to stay strong. To listen means you may have to face what you have avoided for years. And yet this is exactly what the deeper self longs for, to be acknowledged, to be brought into awareness. Healing is not erasure of pain. Healing is not the absence of symptoms. Healing is integration. To heal is to gather the fragmented parts of yourself, the feelings denied, the truths hidden, and to welcome them back into the whole. The body will continue to speak until the message is received. When you cry the tears long denied, the chest releases. When you rest after years of relentless striving, the head clears. When you voice the words you thought must remain unspoken, the stomach softens. The body responds not to punishment or reward, but to recognition. It asks only that you acknowledge the truth it has carried for you. Imagine for a moment that your body is not flesh and bone, but a trusted companion, one that never betrays you, one that has been trying to protect you all along. This companion grows louder only because you have ignored its whispers. Would you not listen to such a loyal friend? Would you not sit quietly and let its wisdom finally reach you? Pain is this friend. Illness is this messenger. They are not here to defeat you, but to awaken you. Consider what happens when you finally stop fighting the signals. The headache softens when you accept that the mind has limits. The tightness in the neck eases when you release the need to control every outcome. The weight in the chest lifts when the tears are allowed to flow. The churning stomach settles when you trust your own intuition instead of smothering it beneath endless analysis. The trembling in the legs steadies when you take the first step into the unknown. The irritated skin calms when you accept that your worth is not defined by the gaze of others. None of these shifts are accidents. They are the body responding to awareness, to the gentle recognition that its messages have finally been heard. This is why the deepest healing is not found in a pill or a quick fix, but in a quiet conversation with yourself. It requires a willingness to feel what you have avoided and to listen without rushing to silence the discomfort. It is an act of courage to sit with the ache instead of running from it, to ask what truth it carries, to invite it into consciousness. The unconscious longs to be known, and when you ignore its whispers in dreams or intuition, it will speak louder through the flesh. Every symptom is a signal from the depths, a reminder that nothing inside you disappears simply because you refuse to see it. Think of the shadow, the hidden realm of everything you reject about yourself. When denied, it does not dissolve. It moves into the body, painting its truths across muscle and bone. A sudden illness after heartbreak is the shadow breaking through. Exhaustion after years of pretending to be strong is the shadow demanding rest. The body becomes the canvas where the unseen paints its masterpiece of revelation. And yet the very moment you welcome these parts of yourself, the struggle begins to dissolve. What was once a scream becomes a whisper. What was once a burden becomes guidance. Ask yourself now, what might your body be trying to tell you at this very moment? What signal have you dismissed as coincidence or mere biology? The ache in your back may be the story of responsibilities carried too long. The pressure in your chest may be the grief you refuse to name. The tension in your stomach may be the anxiety of choices left unmade. Each symptom is a clue, each sensation a piece of the puzzle of your own becoming. To decode these messages is to step into a deeper intimacy with yourself, an intimacy that no external remedy can replace. The ultimate goal is not perfection or a life free of pain. It is wholeness. Wholeness means living with every part of yourself acknowledged and integrated. It means understanding that your body is not an enemy, but a guide, a translator of the unconscious, a bridge between what you know and what you have yet to admit. Your body remembers every story your mind tries to forget. It carries the map of your transformation. When you finally listen, you discover that the very sensations you feared were leading you back to your own center. So the next time discomfort rises, pause before you reach for distraction. Place a hand over the place that aches and ask quietly, "What truth waits here?" Do not demand an instant answer. Simply listen. In the silence that follows, the body will speak in its own way. Perhaps in a sudden memory, a feeling, a single clear thought. Perhaps only in a softening of the pain itself. Whatever comes is the beginning of dialogue, the first step in a conversation that can change everything. Pain is not punishment. Illness is not betrayal. They are invitations, ancient and unwavering, calling you to face what you have hidden, to reconcile what you have divided, to live in truth instead of denial. Your body is the most faithful ally you will ever know. It has carried your secrets, guarded your wounds, and waited patiently for you to listen. When you finally do, you will see that it was never broken. It was always guiding you home to the person you were meant to become, whole, awake, and fully alive.